Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Computer Wednesday, I'm going to talk about Intel 13th Gen Raptor Lake. So let's dive right into it. Now, what exactly is the big deal with this? Well, this is just a 12th generation plus and it has a lot more efficiency core. Now, that may sound odd. It's like nobody is talking about Intel being the performance king. Why the heck they are adding more efficiency core rather than performance core? Well, there are two reasons for that. But here's the deal. Even though people say, we want the latest and greatest, they can't afford it. For example, can you actually afford a computer that is literally pumping out more than 250 watts just from CPU socket continuously into your room? That's a 250 watt room heater. And trust me, your air condition bill will be like, no. So realistically speaking, even though in mobile phones, we have learned this the hard way. It's like everybody is like, more performance. Well, no, what you want is more efficient core taking care of 90% of the things, and that high performance cores only when you're gaming, doing let's say AI photography and all that jazz. That time you want performance core. Majority of the time is the efficiency core. And they had feedback from 12th generation. So this is their best analysis of the situation. It's like everybody wants that, like, you want Ferrari. Can you afford the fuel that it costs? I'm not talking about the car, the fuel. It drains fuel tank like poof. Petrol, what is that? Poof. So that's the reality, or more efficiency core. So real world users would be far more achievable, far more practical, far more comfortable on your electric bill and your laptops. So that's what they are adding. And the frequency boost is stupid, meaning they are going up to 5.8 gigahertz, meaning I'm reasonably sure at this point in time that 1 or 2 generations from now, we will have CPUs that will actually work at 6 gigahertz, not clock up to that, work at 6 gigahertz. Like it was a very big deal that AMD FX 8350 at that time, like my old CPU, had like the ability to work at 4 gigahertz. Like, of course, it's super hot, but it can go there. So I can see that, like the 5.8, that damn fast. Now this will also support PCI Gen 5, which is very weird to say that somehow Intel is next to the party rather than the first to the party. DDR5 is supported. Now, the socket is exactly the same, LGA 1700 CPU socket. So meaning if you have good 12th generation motherboard, you can just use it without too much hassle, including DDR4 support, which is odd. Intel should not have done that, because this very fact will make sure that DDR5 prices are always high. And like, it's one of those things, is like entire industry is acting like it never happened. It's like we had the same issue when going from DDR1 to DDR2, DDR2 to DDR3, DDR3 to 4, 4 to 5. It's like, it's a common thing. It's like, just, rip the band-aid. Like, we have to do that, because every time it's like there are only two players. If one of the players like, I'm DDR5, if another player is like, I'm DDR4, then manufacturers of the RAM, they get stuck. Like, it's like, dude, what should we manufacture? So that's stupid. But like, let's see. So this is Raptor Lake. So what are the core improvements? Here's the deal. It's more or less the 12th generation, but what they're core focusing on is mega tasker, exactly like how your mobile phone works. Your mobile phone has to do so many things in the background. For example, your GPS log, your mobile network communications, your clock cycles, your operating system maintenance, everything it has to do on the background. You don't ever get to see it. It's just working in the background. So computers are like that. Like, you can have hundreds of sub-functions that are working in the background. You barely see it, but those are there. So having efficiency core and having a scheduler that can switch efficiently, be mindful the scheduler is new to Windows 11. 12th gen was the first time somebody was trying that. So it's a very new for computer industry. So having that sort of ability allows Intel, like this is Mark II variant of that, so they can allow mega taskers to not freeze up. What does that mean? That simply means, let's say I'm a YouTuber, I render my video, it takes time. And here's the deal, it freezes my whole computer. Now again, my computer is very old, but even in a new system, it freezes your computer. And if you try to do anything, it feels very sluggish. Now, because Intel has like, fast core and slow cores, it has the ability, without crashing, it can just take the loads. Hey, like, let's say you are rendering a video and then you're like, hey, what if I watch some video, movies, whatever have you. Then it's like, okay, I'm going to take the data crunching, dump it into efficiency core. Yes, it will take longer, but it will work, and your computer will still feel snappy while you are doing rendering, baking, compiling. Baking is one of those things that 3D artists will know, compiling programmers will know, and any other heavy task. Basically, it can switch efficiently and you will still feel like, hey, this computer is just working. That's the whole point of efficiency core. That's why they have added so much more of efficiency core. Now, will it delay your render time? Absolutely. But would you feel it? That's up to you. There are some people who are like, dude, click render, okay, it shows 40 minutes. I'm gonna come after 40 minutes. There are other people, it's like, dude, make it 50 minutes, make it 60 minutes, I don't care, but I want my computer to work. In those scenarios, they are like, shut up, Intel, take my money. So it's a very novel approach, and it does require Windows 11, does require Intel, but it's a unique way of going through it, the mega tasker. And jump to PCI 5.0 and DDR5, if you have the money, could be a desirable thing, especially for people who want to, like, be on the cutting edge. And people might say, oh, performance HSD. Do you use DDR2? No. Do you use DDR3? No. Do you use DDR4? Yes, deal. In future, you're gonna say the same thing about DDR5. It's like we just move forward. So this idea of like, oh, DDR4 is good enough, it's like, that's fancy way of saying that you can't afford it. Like I do, that's why I hate Intel. It's like if they had just bite the bullet, it's like, hey, DDR5, that's it, because here's the server industry already are in DDR5. So manufacturing is there. If you just like DDR5 only, DDR5 prices will start to come down. Again, it will happen slowly, but it will happen. But given the fact that you have created an option, people will always choose the, cheaper option. So this is really bad. And again, this is the prime reason why Samsung has such a bad reputation in mobile phone, because they create RAM options. They will be like, this mobile phone has like 8 GB RAM. They will give it to testers. They're like, whoa, this is amazing. YouTubers are like, whoa, this is amazing. And then the customer goes to the market. It's like, hey, what is the cost of that mobile phone? Yeah, the 8 GB variant is like, 30,000 rupees. They're like, oh, that's expensive. Is there a cheap option? It's like, yeah, you can buy a 4 GB one for, let's say, 20,000. You buy it and now it's garbage. Now you blame Samsung. That's why you do not give cheap options. That's the one thing that Apple knows to do properly. It's like, do not give cheap options, because people are gonna blame you. Now, what AMD can do is like, hey bro, you want DDR4? Good 5000 series is there, and you can't blame us 7000 is not performing as well. And even for Intel also, because again, if you have better RAM, it will work better. And even not today, it will work better in tomorrow, simply because schedulers, operating system, these do get upgraded. Even though you are buying a computer now, these operating systems, these applications, they will keep improving. Photoshop that you are using now will not be the same Photoshop you're using 5 years from now. And by 5 years, I guarantee you, they would have improved the RAM, schedule management, all that jazz. That's why not having outdated tech is generally not preferable. So PCI 5.0 and DDR5 is desirable for many factors. Now, better performance per watt. Now, if true, this is really amazing, specifically for laptops. This is like, just shut up and take my money. Because what they are claiming, let me be very clear, what they are claiming is 12900K, which was a good processor. But again, it was like a room heater. It was like going 240 watt performance. Basically, let's call that performance X. They can achieve that at 65 watts. Even if that's 70 watts, that's damn fast. That's not fast, that's damn fast. And here's the deal, that's why another, that gigahertz frequency matters so much. You might be like, hey, if you can achieve that much in 65, at 100 you will be 10 times more powerful. Not really. The reality is, at low frequency, your voltage efficiency is very high. That's why your mobile processors do not go like 5 gigahertz, 6 gigahertz. It can do that. Heck, FX8350, AMD bulldozer that I have, people had clocked that puppy to 8 gigahertz back in the day using liquid nitrogen. Then why don't we do it? It's just the efficiency, electron efficiency goes down so much that is like, it's not worth it. Basically, your heat output goes exponentially. Consequently, your resistance goes up exponentially. Consequently, your power draw goes exponentially. Your efficiency does, compute power does not go exponentially. That's why there is such a big disparity. You may be like, hey, shouldn't that means 3x more power? But you like, even Intel's own graph, it's like only 10-20% more efficient. That's the reality. Of performance per watt works very efficiently at low frequencies. Like if you're like 3 gigahertz, awesome. 4, not really. 2 gigahertz, GG. And I think that was the another aspect. That's why they are focusing so much on efficiency core rather than performance core. Because again, if you want better performance per watt, that's the only way you can achieve it. And again, that's another reason why you will look at server processors. They will generally would be much slower compared to their desktop counterparts. That's the whole point, because servers have to run 24/7 into 365. So efficiency matters there, because electric bill and the cooling bill, you have to pay bill twice. So you are like, hey, how about we be efficient with this? So these are the improvement that Intel is bringing to the table. If mega tasker is true, it should work really good for many people. Again, may not work for other people. Some people are like, dude, I don't care. If it's rendering, let it render, but save time. So Intel, let's say, takes 40 minutes to render if you're not doing anything, but takes 80 minutes to render if you are like doing something with it, while AMD will like, bro, I will freeze up, but I'll only freeze up for 35 minutes if you do not touch me. People are like, you know what? Time matters. I will use AMD. So be very mindful. It may suit you, it may not suit you. Be very mindful of that. Performance per watt is really awesome and really good for laptop industry. So what about AMD? Well, AMD nor Intel will gonna have a clear-cut win. Basically, AMD 5000 series was the first time where I was like, shut up and buy AMD. That was like, shut up, just buy AMD. Done, go home, sweet dreams. This is not going to happen with 7000. People wanted that, but it's not going to happen. And here's the same will be happening to Intel also. Intel cannot be say like, okay, just buy ours, because here's the in their own graphs, this was very close to actually standing up to it. Let that sink in. This is 2 years old. Their 1 year old system was barely able to hold on against this. The new generation is barely able to manage to beat this, and this series has not reached market yet. So it's not going to be very easy for Intel. It's like 13 gen equal better than 7000. So this is really good for all of us. That means we have actual choices. Now AMD 5000, the testing that Intel did was very odd. It was like, they were using basic RAMs. Now here's deal. Anybody who worked with AMD, they know for a fact AMD realized very early on it's that cache is key. Remove everything else, cache is key. So what is the limiting factor of cache? It's the slowest link in the chain. What is the slowest link? Is your RAM. What if you have faster RAM? And that's why Ryzen systems love fast RAM. Now Intel is claiming they did that because they wanted to use manufacturer's recommendation. Now manufacturer recommendation could be interpreted in two ways. It could be like, hey, manufacturer is saying like, you buy a video game, it says minimum specification requirement. Intel is using that rather than like, go as high as you can until you can like, no longer are stable. Going by that, they are not doing that. So that really gives a very off-putting to Intel. Is like, bro, for a fact that they are very good at cache management, and that's why like the Vcache variants, they're not even showing in the graph. It's like, bro, Vcache is actually able to like Vcache of 5000 series is able to actually stand up next to 13th gen. Like, it's like, bro, I got you. And whenever it's like 13th gen is winning, it's not like whoa, it's like not bad for new system compared to a 1 year old system. So that is a really like, not really giving a very good clear indication that 13 is going to win against 7000 series. But it's going both ways. Whether neither Intel nor AMD can say we won. And AMD 7000 does have the benefit of DDR5. And that's very smart from AMD point of view. Again, it's gonna hurt, but it's one of those things that like, rip the band-aid out. You have to, like, that's why every time people say, oh, DDR4 is good enough, here's the deal. Do you, like, think of it that way. When DDR4 came out, you said the same thing with DDR3. When DDR2 came out, you said the same thing with DDR1. But here's the deal. We still have to move forward, because here's the, even if your computer is not upgraded today, the softwares will be upgraded. They will try to enjoy it. For example, why invest in DDR 5.0, like PCI 5.0? Because here's the games that are under construction right now in gaming labs, they are utilizing PCI direct storage. What if you have a pipeline that can actually exploit it, rather than be like, you know what, let me save money. Now again, nothing wrong with saving money, but this approach of like, oh, old is good enough. No, there is a reason we keep moving forward. There is a reason for that. Again, from cost point, I get it. Don't say from a performance point of view, because performance, but the every other application that you're using right now versus applications that you're going to use a few years from now. Like, think of this like how consoles, you launch the console, the games are looking garbage. But same console, same goddamn physical hardware, a few years from now, it's like, damn, this looks good. How the heck that happened? Optimization. That's why you always want to jump into the new system, if you can afford it. So AMD 7000 will have that advantage. It's like, bro, your DDR 5.0 may not yield awesome result right now, but it will yield good results in 1 year from now, 2 years from now. So that's why they are jumping in that. And AMD will have really good laptop performance. Why? The stupid decision that AMD made of supporting old coolers, which feels stupid. It's like, dude, you are throwing away everything. How about you throw away the cooler? That created a scenario where this heat spreader is thick. Thick spreaders are not good. They're not good heat conductors. Now, why they are using thick? Again, to maintain the height compatibility of AM4. Now, the consequence, it is the primary reason why the thermal junction is 95 degrees Celsius. What if you yoink it? Put direct cooling, exactly how it's done in laptop. These processors will be like damn good. That's why I'm saying AMD has really good advantage in laptop department. Now, AMD is doing another thing aspect that is very well. It's like slow and methodical product launch. Basically, 5000 happened, you took your time, you chill. You almost waited for 2 whole years, then you jump to 7000. What Intel is doing? 10900K, 11900K, 12900K, 1300, 1900K. It's like, dude, if you're releasing this quickly, like think about it this way, what would have felt to a person that just bought 1100? It's like, dude, you did not even let that person to like relax. Let me enjoy it. No, it's like 10, 30. Like there was not even one clear year gap between these two. And that's really bad. Like you never release products that quickly, because that flat out removes customer confidence. For example, you launched 13th. What if you release 14th just now, just tada? It's really bad because it erodes customer confidence. Like, yeah, I'm gonna buy it and then you're gonna launch a new one. That's why you want gap, not too much, but not too little also. You want some gap to be there. It's like, hey, Because here's the deal, even if you launched, let's say 13th gen right now, you can't buy it. Because here's the deal, even if you have the money, assuming you have the money, you can't just like, hey, give me 13th. It's like, no, sir, we have supply issues. It's going to take time before we get it. Then it's going to be, other system. Then in few months that you're going to get it. So if you keep launching, there is a serious scenario where it's like, you may be announcing 14th gen. By the time 13th gen reaches common consumer. So this sort of like super fast, flooding the market, 10th, 11th, 12th and 13th is really not good. Now let's also focus on GPU, because here's the deal, this time GPU launch and CPU launch aligned very well. So lack of powerful GPU may be a limiting factor. Be mindful, AMD GPUs and RTX 3000 series GPUs, they are not weak, but here's the deal, if you are upgrading a new system, you want them to have as much performance as possible, specifically if you want computationally intensive tasks, because more and more computationally intensive tasks is done by GPU rather than CPU. So for video encoding, video rendering, AI tasks, all of those things are being consumed by GPU. If you have latest and most greatest GPU, that's one thing. But if something new came out, that invalidates your old result, because again, if most likely anybody who's buying new system, completely new system, we will buy this, and at that point in time, not having that latest and greatest may limit your CPU's true performance. Maybe AMD is really good with 3000 series RTX, but not really good with 4000 RTX. Maybe driver issues are there. Who knows? But you can't, like, just waiting like few months could have simplified that. And CPU can only flex as far as GPU allows it to, because GPU is the one that is sending interruption signals. It's like, bro, frame rendered, send signals. Bro, frame rendered, send signal. If like GPU is not sending a, CPU may be like, bro, I'm waiting. And be mindful, I worked in game industry, so I know for a fact that all games are designed for lowest grade hardware. So that's why you do not see like Counter-Strike going from like 100 FPS to like 1000 FPS. It does not go that far. Why? It's not built for that way. So games made with GPU in the mind. So if you have new generation of GPU, it's really wise to test it with new generation systems, because game could be choking on GPU. It's like, bro, CPU is like, come on, tick, 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 tick frame. It's like, and GPU is like, bro, relax, let me crunch the data. It's like, so there is a very serious risk of that. So we should have, all of us, like from a consumer point of view, should wait for RDNA 3. Again, they are claiming big moves. I hope it's true. And NVIDIA RTX 4000. Relax, let's wait. So GPU is a thing that we should have waited for. So what should we do? Well, wait. And I do kind of get it odd. It's like, if people get so excited every topic, it's like, when will you gonna cover this? Like, even if you have the money, assuming you have the money, you can't buy it. It takes months before you can actually buy it. So no need to rush. Just relax. And I guarantee you basically it will be worth it to wait. Because Intel and AMD, both comparison needs to be done with latest generation GPU with best performance, basically best DDR5 systems you can have, best PCI 5.0 memory you can have. All of those things needs to be done. Only then you will know which CPU can go the last mile, go the extra mile. Let's say you buy your computer right now, and do you really want to save some money, or do you want to buy a bad equipment if you're going to replace it after 5 years from now? You want to be like the best. That's why wait, relax, take your time. Now, all the system analysis is very clear. AMD will be pricey this generation, and new motherboards, DDR5, but it will give them snappy. Everyone whose review embargo has been removed, they're saying Windows is very snappy. It's like, why? Branch prediction is really good. Like, it's really able to predict very well. So that should be an awesome thing. So for many people, it's just like, dude, I use Windows more than I use anything else. Shut up and take my money. And again, that's why I specified DDR5. If you want to have a good computer, you have to do this. And Intel would be far more cost effective, but Intel does not want to have that. Again, that's the sole reason why like Samsung Fold can be made much cheaper now, but they never make it cheaper, because it has to be a luxury product. Same goes with Apple. There are some price point that you do not want to wear, because like how Intel had this aura to it. It's like Intel for performance, AMD for poor people. Now it's opposite. It's really bad from a company's point of view. It's like really bad from, again, you may be like, that should not matter. Again, we are human. Chimpanzee brains, we can't do much about it. It does matter. You do want the highest performance equipment, but again, you can't just lull the price. People are not gonna buy it. So old motherboard DDR4 may be wise from a cost point of view, but may not yield the best flex points, and people like to flex. So let's see what happens. And I would urge you, please wait. And if you are buying a system and you want to be like, hey, I want to wait for 5-6 years before upgrade, please jump into DDR5, because I can guarantee you RAM upgrade is the cheapest thing. Even though DDR5 is expensive now, it won't be expensive in the next 3 years. DDR4 will become expensive. So trust me when I say this, just go YOLO on it. Just jump to DDR5. Again, I get it if you do not have money, but do understand you are sacrificing something that even though performance does not matter, here's the deal. Why the heck? Even all the YouTubers that are saying, oh, DDR4 is good now, they have the latest and greatest. Most of them are using DDR5. It's like, bro, there is a reason we don't have DDR1 right now. It's like you have to let go. You have to just, I know it's expensive, but let go. So this was my presentation on basically Intel 13th Gen Raptor Lake. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike. Press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free. And as always, thanks for watching.